Hello, everyone. My name is Chandler Knowles, and thank you for coming to my business meeting today. So today I'm going to be my proposal is budgeting for new cafe appliances. So as of right now, our cafe is in desperate need of new appliances. It needs a new refrigerator and a new microwave. So we're going to go over the different types of microwaves and refrigerators and different appliances that I've done research on and found to be the most effective. I'll also discuss what's going to be needed change in the cafe so that way we're able to turn a profit and be able to become profitable and come over and overcome our different types of budgeting needs. So I'm going to discuss on what we need to do to be able to serve as many guests as we should be able to, because we do have a large cafe. So there's plenty of room in there for guests and for us to be able to serve a proper amount of food. And it's just that these appliances are causing a large slowdown on this entire process. With this in mind, it does, end up causing our guests to become late, and it causes a delay in them being able to get to service in time. So recently I've been volunteering I've been volunteering at the church for the past 3 years in the church cafe. Since I started, I knew the appliances were getting older, but it wasn't that much of an impact on it as it is now. Now it's recently become an issue. They're very dated, and they're causing us a delay in us being able to get food out right now. The refrigerator, it leaks. It does not keep the food cold like it should. And the microwave, it is not able to keep food. It's not able to warm food up in a quick manner. It may take a couple tries for us to get it to the appropriate temperature that we need it to be, along with the oven. They also it takes a while for the oven to warm up. So, we have to get there 30 minutes to an hour for it to get there to warm up on time. And then by the time we put the food in there, it may not still be at the accurate amount of heat that it says. During this project, I've also conducted several interviews and surveys throughout the church staff to get an idea on what everybody is wanting, and also from church guests. So with this, on one of the weekly newsletters, what I've done is that I have sent out a survey to the guests asking what they're wanting to see differently in the church. And I've also had interviews with our pastoral team to see what they were wanting to see from the cafe as well, because what they're saying means a lot to me, and how we're going to be able to move forward comes from them as well. With this issue, it's also caused for the cafe to have to pull different funds from different programs in the church. It puts a strain on the church as a whole, especially on those certain programs that have money that needs to go into those certain areas. So with that being said, they're not able to live up to their full potential because the cafe is bringing it down. Also in my area, we have different churches that have public cafes. So I was able to go to those cafes and get an idea as to what they were needing to see and what they were doing differently than what we are, and see what kind of ideas that I could pull from them. As of right now, the cafe, it is serving a variety of breakfast foods. We cook eggs to sunrise sandwiches to croissants. And with these appliances being very slow, it's hard for us to be able to manage that amount of food with these amount of guests, because it could take an hour or so to get a few sandwiches out just because on how slow everything is. And also with the refrigerator not able to keep items cold enough, it can cause the food to go bad quicker, causing the cafe to have to spend more money. We do have two different services, so there's two different times the guests are, but where they're being served from 8 to 12:45. The first service starts at 9 o'clock, and the second service starts at 10:45. So there's not a whole lot of time for guests to be able to get in and out in a timely manner if these appliances are not working well. It causes a delay on them and causes them to not be able to get the right amount of the right amount of time in service that they came to see. They did not come to just sit and wait in line for a cafe, compared to being able to go into service and listen to the pastor preach and listen to the sermon and what they're really there for. The church also holds different types of conferences and events that, like, we have cookouts there at the church that brings that for the younger kids. We also have men's conferences, women's conferences, different things like that, programs that we put on. This is bringing other guests or other people from the other outsiders into the church, and that could potentially be guests and get into the church and get what they're really came there for. Us not being able to serve the appropriate amount of food can cause an issue for them as well, not only for our weekly services, but for those things as well. So that causes an impact. During this time, though, for our services, on a slow day, we may have 50 to 75 people at a time coming through the cafe. And that's a lot of people to have to serve for appliances that are very dated and not allowing us for the cafe to live up to its full potential. So upgrading these appliances would really benefit the church completely compared to not being able to, for the cafe to stand on its own. So as I mentioned earlier, I did put out a survey with our newsletter that goes out weekly. So I asked 3 different questions. The first question is, what type of appliances would be best in the cafe? I personally have never purchased appliances, so I wanted to get some of the guests' decisions on what they like to purchase for their own homes or what they would recommend. So what I found is that approximately 65% of the customers and the pastoral staff would like to have Samsung products in the cafe. So that was a good place for me to start somewhere. After doing a little bit of research, I noticed that Samsung appliances are more expensive and they also do not last as long compared to Whirlpool. Whirlpool is a little bit cheaper and it also has a longer lifespan and they're more durable. So from my findings, I would recommend Whirlpool over Samsung. I also want to know what their favorite menu item was. I found that 85% of the customers of the cafe would like to see grit bowls. Grit bowls are one of our top sellers and they're easy to make and they're very cost effective. So I can see that being very beneficial for us to be able to lower the rate and the amount of time and money that we're putting into the cafe, so that way we're able to budget for new types of appliances. The last one is that I wanted to see what kind of new menu item that they would want. The response that I got was 52% of the customers chose the new item to be smoothies. That was very good information for me to find out. That way I'm able to add into the budget what type of, blenders, different things like that would be best, and also those types of ingredients and what the price is for those as well, so that I can get a better understanding and a better idea. So after, that survey, like I mentioned, it was very beneficial and helped me come up with conclusions and places to start. So I found that, what type of appliances would work best. I, was able to get different types of amounts on how much it would cost for the different ingredients for the new blender, and also ideas on how for us to budget. I also noticed that a lot of guests are having complaints that not only that our volunteer team and pastoral staff are seeing it, but guests are also noticing a slowdown, and we don't want to see that. Of course, we want to see our guests happy and want to come into church and want to get something to eat before it's time for service to start, because a lot of people don't have time to stop at 2 places before service starts because it's early to wake up on a Sunday, especially if you have kids or if you're just getting off work, if you work in the medical field or have some kind of overnight job. So there's plenty of room for the cafe to grow, and we could possibly open it to the public instead of just the church guests, like the other church cafes in the area, if we're able to put this plan into motion. What I recommend after the surveys is that I want the cafe to be profitable. So what I would recommend doing is that we stop all other types of food being served in the cafe, and we mostly work on grit bowls, because that way we're able to push out more and make more guests happier, and we're able to see that profit come in. I also recommend that we go with Whirlpool over Samsung appliances after, realizing that they're a little bit cheaper and they last longer than Samsung. That would be a great decision for the church to make and for the cafe. So what I've concluded is that this would be a huge step for the church. This allows us to be able to serve more guests, and that we're able to open up other opportunities and become profitable. This way we're not just having to rely on the other portions of the church for us to be able to, for the cafe to stand on its own. It makes it harder for those other programs that we're having to pull money from. This would also make guests happier, and we could possibly open to the public and pull in more guests. So this won't only help for the cafe, but it will also help the church. So that was my conclusion that I found on this. I believe that this will help the church as a whole, and everyone will be happy after, we make these changes and we're able to help the church as a whole. But I appreciate you coming to this meeting today to just listen to what I have to say about this, and hopefully we'll be able to make some changes soon. But thank you, and you guys have a great rest of your day.